hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraki, and on Street Talk we deal with political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now, joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside,
Charles Thomas,
Paget Maynard.
We've got a lot to cover tonight, but let's just cover some of it. And we was talking about, we was talking about again what's happening
with
today.
Agent Orange.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to bring out a couple points on the show because it's timely.
Mm-hmm.
Just this past weekend, we had a major story come out from the New York Times that said that Trump had been evaluated and investigated as a candidate by the FBI is someone they consider to be an asset of the Russians, and that also this was a counterintelligence investigation, meaning they're spy hunting. A counterintelligence agency investigation means they're looking for a spy who's spying on the United States. So Trump was regarded early on by the FBI as a traitor, as a spy. That came out Saturday night. Yesterday, Sunday, the Washington Post published a blockbuster story that said that Trump went through hills and dales to try to cover up the fact that he was communicating with Putin on a one-to-one basis. Mm-hmm. He went so far as to demand that his interpreter, not his note taker, his interpreter, hand over to him notes from one of the meetings he had with Trump, and made he or she, I'm not sure what the gender was of this person, swear to never disclose what was discussed between he and Trump. Remember, this is not a note taker. This is an interpreter whose job it is not to have fully fleshed out notes of exactly what was said and precisely what the topic was. It was just in order to help them translate from Russian to whatever it is Trump speaks. I don't know if you call it English. Okay.
But
so that came
Dennis,
out this
if
weekend.
you give me the person, they should have had somebody from the State Department,
absolutely,
who would Homeland Security, who would actually take the notes and have the detailed note, but there was none.
Right, that's protocol. That's typical protocol.
Yeah.
You have a translator and you have an official note taker who puts and saves it for the records. That has not occurred with Trump in any of his meetings with Putin.
And by the way, he had like 5 one-on-one meetings.
And we find out now that he made all these efforts to hide that all. But before we get to that, I want to wind up just a week ago. It seems like 2 months ago. We recorded the show last Monday, the 7th. The very next day, news came out that Natalia Velenskaya, the Russian attorney, was arrested and charged, and she was charged with corrupt influence, obstruction, and impeding of justice. Those are the charges against her. And we have to kind of dig into that, what's going on, and tie it all back in. Now, Velenskaya is now a Russian agent, even though she tried to pretend like she was just a private citizen working for a company over there. And her whole objective has been to end the Magnitsky Act. Now, the way this all happened was there's a company that was in Russia called Hermitage Capital, owned by a guy named Bill Browder, who was an Englishman.
Yep,
He was an Englishman.
Yep.
I've heard his name.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Bill Browder had this company, and he found out that there were Russian companies impersonating not only his company but other Western companies, and using this false information to try to extract tax refunds or to extract tax payments, which they would get a fee of, because this is all tied to Putin.
Right.
Okay, so a company called Provision out of Cyprus ended up with $230 million of Hermitage Capital. How did this happen? Well, they came after Hermitage Capital's assets. Browder got wind of it through his attorney, Magnitsky. And so what they did is they sold off all their assets quickly. And they sold over $1 billion in assets in Russia.
Okay.
They reported the sales and paid $230 million in capital gains to the Russian government, legitimately, and they moved out of the country. Everyone left except for Magnitsky.
Okay.
Magnitsky was arrested. He was tortured. He was beaten with rubber hoses. He was denied his medication. He was put in a cold cell. Cold cells. Remember, was that sound like something at the border they would put children in? And eventually he was beat to death. So from this time, the Hermitage Capital people were outraged at what happened. They came back to the United States. Bill Browder told the Obama administration and other Western countries, and essentially the NATO allies passed the Magnitsky Act, which said that all of these oligarchs, from Putin on down, could no longer freely move their money around. It was frozen. They couldn't access it. It's been held. And that's what ticked them off. So you had this Valerie Neliskaya, whose job it was to get this money. Now, they tried to steal the $230 million in the tax payment that Browder made, and they got their hands on that, and that was quickly sent to Cyprus. Now, the Seychelles Islands are near there, and we need to eventually talk about how this connects to Betsy DeVos's brother, who used to run who used to run Blackwater, Eric Prince. But Preet Bharara, who's the U.S. attorney for the state of New York, the Southern District of New York, was investigating this crime. And he had a $230 million lawsuit against this company based in the Cyprus Islands. He was trying to get this money back that was stolen from Browder's company. This is when Valerie Velinskaya gets involved. And she goes and they have a hearing. Well, they scheduled a hearing. Trump, being the traitor that he is, one of the very first things he did in January of 2017 was he fired Preet Bharara, who was going to defend the United States against this false claim that this $230 million belonged to Nitskaya's company. So this guy's replaced by a guy by the name, Preet Bharara is replaced by a guy by the name of Jeffrey Berman, who's a lobbyist, but he also used to be a law partner of Rudolph Giuliani. Okay? So he's out of the picture now. Preet Bharara's out of the picture. And this Berman is, who again is a boy of Giuliani. And they settled a $230 million lawsuit for $5 million. So they got off the hook, and they got to keep all the money. So Valerie Velinskaya was at that meeting, was at that hearing where the sum was reduced from $230 million down to $5 million, thanks to Trump's boy, this Berman cat who replaced Preet Bharara. That same day, she was scheduled to be in the Trump Tower meeting to meet with Usay and Kusay Trump and Paul Manafort and Kushner and all these other Russians to discuss adoption of Russian babies. But what they were really talking about was the Magnitsky Act. So she goes to this meeting and she's late and she apologizes. Meanwhile, the company that's back in Cyprus goes back to the Russian government and says, we want our refund now, our $230 million refund. That refund was paid the very next day. $230 million, the largest refund in the history of Russia, was paid within 24 hours. Okay? So now we have to wonder, well, what was really going on here? And with this quick settlement and this quick turnaround of money, well, obviously Putin had his hands on this, and Trump fawning and playing the knee pads for Putin at Helsinki and other places was his obvious way of showing fealty to this guy and saying we're going to do whatever we can to make sure that Bill Browder and Hermit's Capital hand over this money. And at that meeting in Helsinki, Putin asked that Browder be turned over to Russia. In fact, they asked for Russia to have free reign to come here and investigate people. And what did Trump say? I think it's a great idea. Now, the problem is Browder, again, he's a resident of England. So this false accusation that he gave millions of dollars to the Hillary Clinton campaign is obviously impossible because he couldn't do that. But we also know that the real reason why is that Putin wanted to try to shine some Fox News style shade on him and get this guy back in Russia where he could be tortured and beat to death and take his billions of dollars. So finally we get to the point where when Magnitsky figured out that Browder needed to sell all these assets and get out of the country, the damage had been done to the entire Western capital investment in Russia. That's gone now because it's been turned into a kleptocracy. So I want people to understand that when Valerie Netskaya was arrested last week and charged, this all ties back to that Trump Tower meeting and what Trump was trying to do. And the last thing I want to point out real quickly is Trump campaign on the wall. We got to build the wall. He kept saying a big, beautiful concrete wall. And then suddenly, and it was hard to catch, but in hindsight, I've gone back and researched it. All of a sudden, he started talking about beautiful steel slats. Beautiful
don't
steel
forget.
slats, right?
He said the Democrats requested that.
Well, well, here's the deal. There is one U.S. steel company that can make those kind of slats. And his name, and it's owned by a billionaire who's of Russian-Israeli heritage, and his name is Roman Abramovich, okay? And Abramovich is being a close friend of Trump and Putin, is the only one left in the United States who can build these steel slats because of the tariffs. There is no international competition for it. All of this money that will be spent on the wall, if it comes to fruition, is estimated to be $25 to $30 billion. Now, typically, a consulting fee is anywhere between 10 and 20%. So if it's 20% and we're talking $25 billion, Trump's cut would be 2.5. And if it's a 20%, he'd get $5 billion. That's on the low end. So when Trump is advocating for this wall, Mr. and Mrs. Fox News viewer, he's not doing it because he's concerned about your safety. And anybody with a brain knows that's not the issue. The issue, again, is with everything else, is the Monuments Clause and him trying to line his pockets. So pay attention to those two stories, which were last week's story, as we pay attention to the ones that just broke this week.
Good job, Dennis.
Good investigative reporting.
Well, it's important at some point, man, because, we were talking over the show. The stuff just comes constantly. It's like a fire hose. And you can't drink out of a fire hose, but if you take a cup of it and you analyze, you take another cup and start to connect the dots, you see. And this cat is a traitor, is a Benedict Arnold in plain sight. They're not even very good at hiding what they're up to.
Don't you forget, right after Trump got in office, right on this show, I said some things, including traitor.
Treason.
I used the word treason. I used the word impeachment. And we're seeing more and more. I said to a couple of friends of mine the other day, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump commits suicide. Oh, no, he wouldn't do that. He's too proud. I said, that's the very thing going to lead him to do it, his pride. Because right now his cage is so rattled. And we see with what came out this week, you mentioned at the top, Dennis, with this new investigation we're hearing about now. and Trump. Trump is a total mess. He got on what's his TV station there, Fox, and this woman questioned him. Simple question, simple answer. Were you or are you now working for the Russians? Yes, no. Trump spent over 2 minutes,
324 words.
324 words, and no, yes, never came out.
Right.
He said nothing to answer the question.
No.
And that's not the first time he did that.
Right.
No.
So he is evasive. And you have to keep pressing him. And right now, I think as citizens, we ought to get on our Congress people, Senate, House, and let them know we want action, proper action, not just around the hem.
No.
We need to go in there and get the details. Not that you hate the man,
No.
but this is the man representing our country. He's at the top. And if you please look at it and see his behavior and see how he looks so much like, well, he wants to be an oligarch anyhow. He's not there. He is acting like a totalitarian. I'm going to declare state of emergency
Yeah.
and take money from this and from that to build the wall.
Yeah.
Hey, the very fact that he's making these statements make you question, and that falls right back to what Dennis just said. That wall, the money from the wall, and I believe it's going to be more than any $25 billion.
Yeah. They
That money, he is looking for his cutback.
They already said
And you're going to get it.
Already said it'd be more than that. And the other thing is that money that's supposed to go to the people that's been
In Puerto Rico,
Puerto Rico,
California.
Right.
Yeah.
And this fire, this disastrous fire
Yeah.
out in California.
Yeah.
He's playing American like a fool, like he played fiddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
the
he's
man-
got people supporting.
Yeah.
The man goes so far as he is no longer going to give money out. FEMA shut down. You can't do this. Puerto Rico, we don't care anything about you. You're just bastard kids anyhow.
Yeah.
Right.
You're not fully Americans.
National parks.
Well, they are more American than Trump.
Yeah.
Trump is the product of an illegal alien.
Yeah. And his wife too.
I have nothing against them, you know.
Right.
Now he has a son who is the product of an illegal alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then he talking about these people coming here to invade.
Yeah.
Well, what did they do?
And
Well-
he got a crush on his daughter.
Yeah. But you know, you notice, man, that the people who coming in from other places has committed more crime than the people coming in from
The border.
Yeah, from the border.
Well, the Hispanic community has a relatively low crime rate, and the people who are what Fox News audience likes to call illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants have an extremely low crime rate.
That's
so
true.
Trump's
Their own
assertion that
documents.
they're bringing drugs, they're rapists, they're murderers, and some are
That's
some
not
good
true
people
either.
is belied by the facts. But see, facts don't matter to people.
Oh,
like
no,
that.
no.
It's not. It's my gut. It's what I feel.
Yeah.
So all my biases, all my prejudices,
Yeah.
all my hatred
Yeah.
informs me more than facts.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
when you're talking to people like that, Trump has a reliable, rock solid 35% of the country,
Right.
and 75 to 80% of
Yeah.
the Republicans,
Yeah.
because they think that way.
Yeah.
The evidence that they think
Yeah.
that way is that if you work for a living, particularly if you're a blue collar worker, and you vote Republican, you might as well put a wrap around your head and a stick out your butt because you're a sucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do nothing for you.
No.
They never have done anything for you.
No.
Ever since they changed the economic system of the United States from Keynesian to this trickle-down economic madness, they've been getting screwed over.
Yeah.
Jobs shipped overseas, wages
Yeah.
flattening.
Yeah,
and
the
going
middle
down.
class getting wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, white middle class almost gone, and they keep voting for it.
Yeah.
So Trump realizes, I can lie to these fools
Yeah.
all day.
Right. Yeah.
All I got to do is just tell them what they want
Right.
to hear.
Yeah.
And they're just as racist as me.
Yeah, and
Right.
They're just as
Yeah.
ill-read and
Yeah.
ill-educated and
Educated.
ignorant as me.
Yeah.
So it works.
And the thing is that, you know, and I hate to keep saying it, but you know, a lot of the whites in this country, man, still believe that they know so much, and they, as long as they can keep the non-white, as long as they can do something to keep them, to think they can keep them down, hey, just keep on doing it.
Well, I think a distinction needs to be drawn though between whites and others, because I don't think that's completely fair.
Well,
If you
I'm
look
just
at,
saying.
if you look at the demographics of people who vote for Republican, they tend to live in rural areas.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to live in areas with not strong economies,
Right.
and they tend to be poorly educated.
Mm-hmm.
Trump wasn't lying when he said, "I love the poorly educated."
Yeah, yeah.
If you go to city centers, I don't care what state. Go to Birmingham, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Jackson, Mississippi. Go to Athens, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Places where white Confederate colleges
Yeah.
thrive.
Oh, yeah.
You will still see a strong blue constituency
Mm-hmm.
within that. And what's the common denominator? It's education.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's ability to read and discern what you're reading.
Yes.
It's ability to put things into historical context, so the okie doke that got you last time doesn't get you again this
Right,
time.
right.
But the people who sit around and watch hee-haw reruns
Yeah.
and watch
Yeah.
Fox News
Yeah.
every night,
Yeah.
and they go to work all day and
Rush
they come home
Limbaugh.
tired,
Yeah.
and they don't want to read, not interested in reading. They just turn on the news and have
Right.
it.
Well-
They're the ones who vote for these people, and
Yeah.
yeah, they are white. But again, it's not all whites.
Mm-hmm.
It's the poorly educated and it's the middle to lower income whites.
Well, on the deal, they said he had agreed to sign it, but then.
Well, yeah. What happened was Rush Limbaugh,
Yep.
Yep.
Ingram,
Influenced him.
yeah, all the Fox News,
Yeah.
Sean Hannity, they
Yeah.
all came
Yeah.
after him and called him out for it, and
Yeah.
he switched
Yeah,
right
overnight,
back.
yeah.
So now there is no policy.
No.
There's no policy in Syria. There's no economic policy. There's no policy for the wall. All we have is Trump's wins.
Yeah.
The
And he caused
amazing
his government
thing
shut
about
down
that,
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the amazing thing with that is that the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, doesn't even have the manhood
No.
to say, I am bringing it out.
No.
I'm not going to bring anything unless
Yeah,
Trump
yeah.
say he's going
Yeah.
to sign it.
Yeah.
Look, what about veto proof? You had 98 people in the Senate voted for it. The House went
Yeah.
back after Hannity and they chat their baloney.
Mm-hmm.
Trump called, what's his name there now? Ryan Scar.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Scar. And he went back, come up with some more crap. The Democrats now in charge of the House. And they're saying we are going to send in every one of these just as they were. These were passed by the Senate.
Yeah. Yeah.
McConnell still will not bring them to the floor.
Right.
So who is he working for now?
Yeah.
And then
Putin Jr.
Yeah. Yeah.
to add insult to injury, did you guys see Lindsey Graham what he's talking now about the
Oh,
Supreme
man.
Court?
Man, he just, man, really, he just need to go and just get under a tub someplace. Really, he do, man.
You guys got to understand, Lindsey was so much against Trump. He said so much, which he was correct then, talking about Trump,
Yeah.
the characterization of Trump.
Yeah.
But a round of golf and a dinner, and he flipped.
Yeah, but you see, just about all those guys who were saying, oh, he's nothing, oh, blah, 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 blah. All of them now, oh yeah, he's all but the
Well, I think Graham, Rand Paul, a lot of those guys were the group of Republicans who spent, I believe it was Thanksgiving Eve. I can't remember the exact date, but it wasn't that many months ago.
no, ain't been long ago.
They all spent a day or two in Russia. No Democrats.
Right. Yeah.
No transcript.
Yep.
No idea what was discussed.
Yep.
But all those cats came back and they were gung ho
Yeah.
for Trump all of a sudden
Yeah.
and anti-investigation.
Yeah.
So again, the Russians are famous for compromise,
Yeah.
which means they compromise you with whatever your weakness is.
Yeah.
And you give a couple of those fools 2 days overseas and they can add all the money
Yeah.
and all whatever they like.
Yeah.
they can handle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gonna compromise.
They
for
should
them.
be
So Lindsey
included
Graham
in this
probably got some pictures of
investigation.
him, a little
Yeah.
brown boy
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, man, is that he's talking about he should open it back for three weeks and then he can it's like, man, do you
That's
believe?
crazy.
Yeah, do you believe that the Democrats gonna let him do anything?
Look,
with-
Ahmad,
with-
we know people who are greedy. We know people who are hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsey Graham can't be that hungry so that a meal and a round of golf make him turn
well,
around.
but see,
Exactly.
but see, man.
Something turned,
Yeah.
but wasn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, him, he just be speaking. Just think whatever it is, the man been on, what is it, Face the Nation, him and what you call it, had been on more time than anybody. Him and
Him and
the man who died,
McCain.
McCain.
You know what
Yeah.
gets me about Lindsey Graham is lately he's all talking tough
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's ready to fight
Yeah.
and
Oh,
cussing
yeah.
and spitting.
And no
Yeah.
substance.
And you never saw a more effeminate dude on TV in your life.
No.
And all of a sudden he's going
Yeah,
for bad.
yeah.
I'm like, man, wait a minute, man. Who took the skirt off you and turned you into Billy Bad? Somebody give you a black belt and hit people with a rolling pin? I mean, where you get tough from?
Yeah. Where you get your
Yeah, I
cojones
mean,
from?
really, every week, man, he's
Yeah.
cussing and
Yeah.
taking off the
Yeah.
mic and storming off the set,
Yeah.
and that's with friendly.
Yeah.
Did
Man,
you
who told you you was
Yeah.
tough,
you
man?
remember
You know what they used to call that when I was a
hearings?
kid? Y'all too. Going for bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you go for bad, sometimes you get your chin
Yeah,
checked. They go, oh, you bad, huh?
Yeah. Somebody buy
That's
the
what I think
ticket.
he needs. He needs a little chin check.
Yeah.
You were saying, Patrick.
Chin music
You were saying. Oh man.
at the Kavanaugh hearing. Look how he ranted and raved and
Oh
went on.
yeah.
And they bought into it.
Yeah.
I mean, where is the perception?
Yeah.
Where is the common sense? Whatever happens to, I can't see that.
Well, we've got another thing. We only got a minute now, but they talking about what's her name? She just had something done to her in the hospital.
The judge,
yeah.
Ginsburg,
Oh, yeah. The
Justice
Supreme Court.
Ginsburg.
Yeah.
Ginsburg.
Yeah, and they're talking about
RBG.
Yeah, they talking about if he get a chance, and I believe this lady somehow is going to stay there, man, until
I hope she does.
Listen, man, she wants to be there another 10 years.
but
And you know what? They are gung ho. And Lindsey said it, Trump said it. If she happens to decide not to go back, they are going to fight tooth and nail to put another conservative.
Yeah.
We want to pack it with conservatives. And that says something to me. The judiciary is no longer an independent body.
no.
The whole thing is corrupt.
Yeah.
Being exposed.
Yeah. We're about out of time, but we'll get back on it next week. My name is Ahmad Shakaraka, and we'll catch you right down the next block for more Street Talk. Peace.
Peace.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine, messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.